While most people are just waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning, checking their social media while still laying in bed or checking their emails, I'm just getting wrapped up with my 3-hour morning meditation. This morning routine has generated me more wealth than any business strategy, networking event, or investment course I have ever taken. In this video, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I do every morning and how this morning routine not only have changed my life, but it can also change yours. My name is Nikita Zhitov, and I wake up at 4 a.m. every single day for my 3-hour morning routine that most people think is insane. But this routine has helped me build a portfolio worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The truth is simpler and harder than that. The quality of your morning determines the quality of your entire life. Those 3 hours from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. have become the most competitive advantage in business for me. When you start your day with the hardest thing, which is overcoming yourself, which requires discipline and patience and focus, then the rest of the day is going to be very, very easy. You may ask, why 4 a.m.? Why to go such extremes? Well, the world is still asleep and there's no distractions. No emails, nobody calling you, and you really have a quiet time. Mind is the clearest after a proper rest. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing, your mind is clearest. It has no thoughts before you pollute your brain with social media or emails, and you start the morning with meditations. You set yourself up for success. A part of my meditation is usually set intentions. You call it affirmations, intentions, some task objectives that I set. I don't try to think about them. I just set as an intention, a task that I'm trying to resolve, such as, should I do a deal or not do a deal? The biggest part is getting out of your own way. You know, the mind may think, but the body knows. Words is the language of the body, feelings are the language of the soul. So the goal is to quiet your mind so that you can listen to your feelings and what your body is telling you. I've just observed my sensations and I get answers to certain business objectives that I'm trying to resolve. Some of my most important decisions are made during this window between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. when I'm meditating. Another reason for doing it at 4 a.m. in the morning, your melatonin is the highest between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. And if I'm gonna have a mystical experience, I'm gonna produce derivatives of melatonin, such as oxytocin, feeling a state of absolute bliss, or dimethyltryptamine, known as DMT, and I have a very vivid sensory experience without any senses. I increase my chances of having those at 4 a.m. in the morning, because my melatonin, all of those molecules are derivatives of melatonin, and melatonin is the highest at 4 a.m. So one of the practices during the meditation that I do is breath. Breath is starting out from your perineum, inhaling your breath through your spine, kind of awakening that kundalini energy and trying to activate the radio receiver inside your head, the pineal gland. The pineal gland has crystals that has piezoelectric effect to it. And the only way to activate them is by applying mechanical force. Well, the only way to do it, because they're located inside your head, the only way to do it is through pressing cerebral spinal fluid against elevating cerebral spinal fluid with your breath from the bottom, from your perineum to the middle of your brain. And if you learn how to do it well enough, you can create a mechanical force that applies against those crystals, and they become electrically charged, and you create electromagnetic field inside your head. And essentially you create a little radio receiver and antenna inside your head, so you can pick up the frequencies that are not normally perceived or that you're not normally tuned into. Because you see, we only see the visible light spectrum. Our body is equipped to perceive a very, very little of all frequencies that are available. That's essentially the visible light spectrum, the orange, the violet, the green, the blue. But that's a very small fraction of all frequencies available out there. Just because you cannot see infrared or radio waves doesn't mean they don't exist. Our just body are not equipped to perceive them. But when you activate the radio receiver inside your head, i.e. your pineal gland, all of a sudden this pineal gland can read other frequencies. The other 99% of reality, the ether. You see, everything around us, the empty space, it's actually full of energy. But we don't see it, and oftentimes we're not even aware of it because we're just not equipped to tune in or to perceive it. But when you change your frequency inside your head to be able to read those frequencies. Now you're all of a sudden able to see the other 99% of reality that you don't see on a day-to-day basis. That's outside of visible light spectrum. You cannot see them with visual eyes, you can only become aware of them and perceive it with your senses. The first hour I started out by obviously meditating. I started out by meditations, and I've done meditations where I've sat just in the quiet and just observed sensations I have, known as vipassana, like where you just sit in the quiet. And I've done the guided meditations. And I started out usually every meditation by opening my heart. Where we put our attention is where we put our energy. By putting my attention and my energy on my heart, I'm forcing my heart to be more receptive, more open. We live in our head too much. We need to, especially me having a very mathematical background, having attended the School of Science Mathematics, being in business for many years, I think very logically. So for me, it was a big challenge to open my heart, but it's an essential step. I started out by opening the heart, maybe add some breath to it to activate again the radio receiver inside your head, the pineal gland, and then I go and just start observing sensations, try to think of nothing, be nowhere, no place, no time. So the process of becoming is the process of overcoming your identity, but that's the work. So that's essentially what I do for the first hour. Once I finish roughly 1 hour meditation, and I'm allowing myself, I usually do it for an hour, but I allow myself for an hour and a half, just in case if I really get into it, I'm having a very blissful moment and a very joyous moment, and I extend it a little bit further. So 1 hour of full sitting meditation. And again, when you're in a quantum and you have no thoughts, you have to have no thoughts in order to get there. But once you're there, you can have intentions and get answers to a lot of questions that are maybe bothering you, such as how to change a certain complex situation. So one of the practices I do, one of the variations of morning meditation, it's called changing boxes. You see, we live in a multiverse where all possibilities exist. Every single outcome and possibility exists. There is a version of you with the black hair, if you're a blonde, or blonde hair if you're a brunette, right? There is a version of you that is more successful, more powerful, more influential, more happy, more healthy than the current version of you. You can become that version by becoming aware of it. And essentially, and it's easiest done when you're doing it from the quantum, because to change your reality from the third dimension which we live in, it takes time and it requires effort. You have to move through space to get from point A to point B, and it takes time. When you're doing it from the quantum, when everything is vibrating at higher frequencies, it can happen instantaneously. So when I'm dealing with an adverse situation, during my morning meditation, I just go into quantum and I select a possibility. There's infinite possibilities already exist. I just become aware of the possibility where it's a version of me without that problem. And I take that potential, I feel all the sensations, how I feel, how I think, who I am, what version of me is there without that problem. And I bring those sensations back to my three-dimensional reality as that future version without that particular problem. And magically, problems disappear on their own. After I finish meditation, I do 10 to 15 minutes of stretching just to get some mobility in the body. And then I do cardio, at least 10 minutes, ideally 30 minutes of cardio per day, just to get to the point where you break a sweat. You want to get your blood pressure up, ideally in zone 4 or 5, just for a short period of time so you can break a sweat. And there's many benefits behind it, which I'm not going to get to now. And after cardio, I basically do just some weightlifting, exercising, because your body is your temple. It's the only home that we don't choose where we live. And yeah, it's very important to take care of it, because the better you take care of it, which is exercising, watching what you eat, the longer it's going to serve you, and you're going to be very grateful. Your body's going to be grateful to you Physical exercise is a foundation for mental clarity, just like meditation. When we exercise, we generate energy, and that energy can be transmuted to whatever you want it to be transmuted, such as wealth and abundance. So there is a book by Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich. It's been written almost 100 years ago. Well, I think there is other ways to get rich, not just by thinking, but by such as walking or running or exercising and grow rich. Maybe I need to write a book, Exercise and Grow Rich, because when you exercise, or when you're running, when you're walking, even just walking, you generate energy. And if you transmute that energy into creative thoughts, you're gonna see creative matter appearing in 3D dimensional reality before you know it. So I was talking about my routine earlier. Started out by an hour of meditation, quieting the voice in the head, observing sensations, resolving problems in business, and then I do the stretching, and then I do cardio, then I do heavy lifting, and then I usually finish with standing on the sadhu nail board. The key is to keep transmuting energy. All these different practices is essentially energy transmutation, just like sex. Transmuting sexual energy is one of the most powerful exercises you can do. Our feet has a lot of nerve endings, so standing on nails, it's gonna be painful. Even to this day, after I've done it so many times, it's still painful for the first several minutes. But it's like doing a self-administered acupuncture. It's very, very healthy for you. So if you look at it as if it's painful, it's gonna be painful. If you focus on all the benefits, it's gonna be easier for you to overcome the discomfort and the pain. So when I stand on nails, you just breathe into the pain. You just breathe into it. You just surrender. Don't try to shift your legs to find comfortable position, because there isn't none. There isn't one. There is no such thing as being comfortable while standing on nails. But if you just again observe your sensations, you start from your head and just start scanning your body, observing different sensations. If you focus on your feet and the pain, it's gonna become very unbearable. And just keep breathing into it and keep surrendering. And after about 7 or 9 minutes of this, the pain is gonna turn into absolute bliss, and you're gonna feel ecstasy. You're gonna feel like you're an animal. You can go outside and wrestle a bear. You're gonna feel like a Siberian bear. You have so much energy just being transmuted. And if you start thinking of positive things and dreaming and visualizing your future, it's a very emotionally charged thoughts. So you see, thoughts charged with emotions and feelings, that's what it's about, right? That's how you manifest things. Thoughts and feelings aligned with powerful emotional charge. Once I finish doing my nail stand and transmuting pain into bliss, I usually finish my morning routine with a sauna and a cold plunge. So I sit here for 15-20 minutes, might listen to some music, might do another small meditation, or just might be thinking of some conflict or issue I'm trying to resolve at work, and I might pour some water on rocks. There's a lot of studies you can look up online through scientific journals that if you do sauna just one time a week, it prolongs X number of years to your life. I don't remember exact stats, but it's extraordinary. And in my case, I spend in sauna almost every day. That's why I said this was one of the best investments, because there is so many different health benefits. And if you go alternating very high temperatures into then a cold water, there is even more benefits to it. I might do some more breath work in here. And then I finish by jumping in the pool or cold plunge. So this morning routine has the best impact on my business because I get clearer thinking, those 3 hours exercising, personal development time. I dramatically reduce my stress levels. I have clear head to make important decisions. I have intuitive answers to decisions that I cannot solve with logic. And my energy level is sustained throughout the day. If I start my morning by overcoming myself, which is the hardest thing, the rest of the day is easy. All the other problems, quote unquote, that might appear during the day are gonna seem like a cakewalk. Look, it's not just a theory. Just 3 days ago, I was meditating here in the morning, doing my thing. And I have one business deal that I was considering doing on the other coast. And this deal is roughly a $20 million deal. And mathematically, logic says you gotta do it. But I just had some kind of a sixth sense knowing that like something is off. I cannot tell, I don't feel right about this deal. So I was just meditating on it and observing my sensations. And the answer came in the form of higher knowing that it's not about math and logic. There is something about this deal that I'm gonna regret doing. So I'm just, being 20 plus years in business have taught me to listen to my gut. So I just listened to my gut, and last Friday, just 3 days ago, I backed out of the deal. And the very next day, the answer came to me why it was the right decision, because the property had a major problem that I would have found out if I went move forward with the deal. That would have cost me millions. So sometimes the best deal is the one you don't do. And I couldn't have possibly found out that through logic, because mathematically, everything on paper, it seemed like it was a good, smart transaction. But it's what you don't know that's gonna get you. And the only way to know it is listen to your body, listen to sensations. And that's what this work is about. So again, this is a secret weapon. Meditation and your morning routine, transmuting the energy that you generate from fighting your mind, through overcoming your pain, through sadhu nails, through overcoming discomfort from doing a cold plunge, or doing this hot sauna alternated with cold plunge, or through running on treadmill. All of those things is different ways to generate energy. And if you learn how to transmute that energy into abundance and wealth and into health, whatever you're after, there's gonna be magical changes in your life. Because you see, if it's not flowing in your body, it's not flowing in your life. And if it's not flowing in your life, it's probably because it's not flowing in your body. Activate those energy channels so the energy starts flowing in your body intentionally, and you'll see how that energy is gonna start flowing in your life. All right, guys, subscribe for more insights on building wealth through a combination of spiritual practices and the business excellence. Remember, how you start your day determines how you live your life. We are capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.